We're going to talk about a new blackface controversy that is now taking over on the internet. And there's a specific tiny little Asian man who is being accused of blackface. And people are calling for him to be doxxed on the internet. Now, you might think this is somebody who's drawing on a blackface in order to mock black people and do a minstrel show. But it in fact revolves around a foundation/beauty brand by the name of Youthforia that is currently receiving a lot of backlash for making a black foundation too dark. Yes, you heard me correctly. We'll see how you guys feel about this once we actually get into the story here. I'll read this article out of CNN that says Youthforia, which is a Shark Tank makeup brand, faces backlash over foundation critics saying it resembles black face paint. Now, I saw this take off on TikTok because Youthforia was initially a brand that was criticized for not having dark enough shades. Its darkest shade at one point was kind of a little bit darker than I am, I would say. And people were hopping on TikTok and social media and saying that this is disgusting, that a brand would say that they have full spectrum of shades, or that a makeup brand would even exist with so few darker shades. So Youthforia heard back from people and was like, yo, we gotta fix this. We gotta get out some darker shades. And they decided to expand their foundation. Apparently, they expanded it too far. And I can see where this could be sort of a moral gray area once you actually get into the look of the foundation. Here's a young woman. I'm actually put this on full screen so you guys can really see her face there. This is the darkest foundation shade that they released. Now, as you can see, it does sort of just look like black paint. It does kind of sort of look like just black paint. I mean, her headband and that foundation shade are not that different. And I guess people did sort of sleuth and look into the actual formula of this foundation, at least in the darkest shade, and they found that there was just one pigment in the foundation, allegedly, and that is just the color black. So, of course, a ton of people were pissed, and they're calling out Youthforia and saying, you guys made this foundation and you're really just pandering to people to say you have dark shades. They just wanted to be the makeup brand that has the darkest shade out on the market. So they threw black pigment out there and said, here you go, black people, here's your darkest shade. Now, to be fair, they do have other dark shades that are more, I think, like this girl's skin color in the photo, that are more brown. But this black pigment is a pretty dark one. So a ton of black people took to the internet and they were like, F you, this is so distasteful, this is so wrong. And it actually took off so much that certain stores started pulling Youthforia products off their line, and people are saying this is so disgusting and controversial, nobody's buying it. Now, I can see how somebody would see this foundation brand and at the very least think you are just pandering towards like a woke audience by making something this dark, especially if it is just black pigment. But I will also say that on at least one occasion, I saw a girl who tried this foundation and it did match her skin tone. I do truly think there are people, very rare people, but there are people who truly are this dark. Now, is this mixed perfectly for them, like for their undertone, and has multiple pigments mixed to sort of really match the skin color? Probably not. It sounds like they just threw black in a bottle and we're like, here you go, this is a darker shade. But they did, expand their shade collection here. Now, the guy who's getting heat for this, I'm going to show you his video because this just gets more and more ridiculous. There he is. Let's take a look at him. He thought, since this makeup brand is in the middle of some controversy, I'm going to go ahead and buy the darkest shade and I'm going to try it on TikTok, much to everyone's dismay. And now people are calling for him to be doxxed, saying that this is completely unacceptable, that this is sort of an example of that minstrel showy type blackface. Let's watch this video for ourselves and see what he has to say.
The darkest of blacks would get called out for cultural appropriation if they wore this Youthforia foundation shade. This is literally like if a brand put out like a purely orange shade or like a purely yellow shade and was like, here you go, Asians. The blacks of the internet are very upset with Youthforia for releasing this super dark foundation. And I don't wear makeup, but like I'm obsessed with like online beauty scandals and like drama. So like I had to get a bottle for myself. So today, let's put this on my face and see if their criticism is valid. I've always wanted to do makeup reviews, so I'm so excited. It says to put on 2 pumps, so let's see what that does for us. I even bought like an e.l.f. foundation brush. Like, I'm taking this very seriously. Okay, so it's very, very dark, as you can see. Oh, this shade like literally looks offensive so far. It's literally so dark. Let me get closer here so you can really see how freaking dark this foundation is. Fiona Chan, the founder of Youthforia, she really messed up with this, to be honest. I feel like it literally looks like my hair, and I feel like if I put this like in my fade, it could like make my hair look more full. Let me see.
Okay. Let me go ahead and say, obviously this person is rage baiting. Obviously he's rage baiting. He knows exactly what this response is going to garner him, and he's putting it on TikTok. I actually went and looked at his TikTok. It's kind of like his thing. He like rage baits people or says things that are just so shocking within the first like 5 seconds of his video that you can't help but like stick around and watch and comment. So he knows what the intent of this video is. Now, do I think this is racist? No. I'm going to give, I guess, the hot take on the internet. It's not racist to try this foundation and see how dark it is on your skin. Just because the result is that somebody has a black face painted on at the end does not mean that they are doing a black face minstrel show or that they are making fun of black people in the process. And I don't know where we lost like our literacy on this subject matter that we can't figure this out. He certainly shouldn't be doxxed. If anything, he should just be called out because he's a rage baiter just in general, and he is sort of in this whole outrage porn section of the internet where people do crazy things just to get a response. Is he racist? No. And what's actually funny about this whole controversy with this makeup brand is if there is one black person that this shade fits, which there is, because I told you I've seen it, and I wish I had the video to show you guys right now, but I saw it on TikTok, tracked past it, not thinking it was gonna be a big deal, and you can't go and freaking find videos back on TikTok again. It is so difficult to find an original video once you've seen it. But, okay. So because this shade actually does match a black person out there, you're starting to sound a little racist by saying it's just black face paint. You're starting to sound a little racist by just saying, oh, this matches my hair, this is nobody's shade, because there are real people out there, of course, you know, a very rare few, that this shade actually fits. So why are you coming after the brand like this? Y'all should slow down and wait and see if this shade actually does fit somebody, because if you truly want inclusivity, there's going to be some rare skin types out there that these things are going to fit. Just in the same vein, you know, if you made like a pure white foundation and there's somebody whose skin tone actually fit that like pure white foundation, we'd all be looking a little bit dumb if we just immediately got outraged and called for this brand to be taken off the shelves in the wake of seeing something that we feel like is too black to actually exist. Y'all see what I mean? So the outrage, it seems, is a little bit misplaced, and I know people are getting off on it because I saw this girl who originally made a video about how dark this Youthforia foundation is, and it's such an insult to black people, and that video got over 30 million views. And because that video took off, all these brands started snatching the foundation off their shelves. Now, if we come to find out this foundation actually fits even one person of color, you gonna look like boo-boo the effing fool for making a video that took off, decimated this brand in a lot of ways, when in fact they made a product that is actually suitable for somebody's skin. And if it is actually suitable for somebody's skin, it would be a product that no other brand is making, because this is probably the darkest shade of foundation that exists anywhere. So I know how you can see something like this and immediately want to jump to outrage and be like, this is absolutely ridiculous. They just put black pigment in a bottle. But who cares? Like, what if that works for somebody? What if somebody wants black foundation? What if somebody wants to mix this foundation into their shade to make their foundation sit better? All questions that I'd be asking myself before I jump on TikTok and make an outreach video that gets 30 million views. Then the same girl goes on to pat herself on the back and say like, our voices matter. You know, I made a TikTok video and now this brand is being taken off the shelves. Like, are you proud of yourself? You're ruining a brand because they made a shade that's apparently too dark for people's skin. You know, I get it. I get the tendency to move towards outrage. I get how somebody could look at this and be like, this is so clearly pandering towards black people. But it's crazy because y'all accept pandering to black people in every other form that it comes in. But when it gets a little bit too outlandish for you, suddenly you don't want the pandering towards black people. You guys will take the scholarships and the diversity quotas and the grant money and all this certain stuff because you feel like it's directly beneficial towards you. But as soon as the beneficial nature of it starts to feel a little bit more of like an outlier, you have a problem. Now, as far as this little Asian man putting on this foundation, he's going to continue to do what he does on the internet, which, as I explained, is just saying outrageous, outlandish things. He puts the Tom in tomfoolery. That's what he does on the internet. So I think he knew exactly what this video was going to do, and he decided to do it anyway. Is it distasteful? I don't know. That's just the nature of the internet these days. Is it racist? No. He, in fact, didn't say anything racist in this entire video. He didn't imitate black people in this entire video. He tried on a foundation, and he went about his day. And that's that. We'll see what happens to Youthforia and if anybody comes back from this. And I would love to find that video of the girl who tried this foundation on and it did, in fact, match her skin, because I'm sure she would have something to say about the outrage that is taking place on the internet right now. But there we are.